ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, coming in from Florida, give it up for Dave and Kristen Dussaults!
Hey, guys. All right. How amazing were Dave and Kristen last night? You know, they've been some of my biggest heroes from the time that, I started building the business. And, man, I stalked them. I remember when they went diamond, literally that free enterprise weekend, I chased them everywhere. I kept sneaking behind stage. Kristen remembers, like, who is that annoying guy? She never said that, but she might have been thinking it. All right. If she wasn't, Dave definitely was. All right. I went to their night owl. I went to everything. And then at Q12, Dennis and I did the same thing. We just wanted to be around a growing team, and they really had the quality in an organization that we were looking for. And I kind of want to go back a little bit to when you guys were first getting started. I think you guys had been building it for about a year or so, and you were ready to call it quits. It may not have been a year, and because you didn't tell that story last night. I think it's such an amazing story, as to, I'll let you tell it. Wait until you hear this story.
Well, I'll have Kristen actually tell you. Kristen, you have your mic or no?
I do.
Oh,
no, I have a mic.
We're good.
Thank you.
This is very challenging to me. I don't know if I am able to sit and speak. Is that okay?
You could stand up.
I know. I'm just not. I see you guys all last night, and I get it. It's the podcast feel. It's the comfortable talk and conversation. It's just wild for me. And it's awesome. But if I'm going to sit, I'm probably going to be at the end of my chair, and half of my cheeks are off, and so I'll still talk with my hand. I'm going to go back to a point first before I address this. Kristen will tell you the story. I'm going to tell you something that's even more cool. You have mentors who are always hungry to learn, where ego was off the table. Very, very, very unique quality in this business. Kristen and I have always been that way. I will say these things to you, but and please, anything I tell you is not self-serving. It's for a purpose, okay? As we were coming through during that time frame that you addressed, I will tell you from 2004 to 2003 to 2006, almost 2007, there is no one in the world of Amway that were sniffing where Chris and I were, and the direction and the culture that was being developed and the teams. We had a good beat on some new space with some technology pieces at that time, which were fantastic. Ready for this? You'll never always be the fastest growing, the most innovative. It's not a reality in the world of business. As we moved further, progression with it, fast forward 4, 5, 6, 7 years, and all of a sudden now there's a couple few ones, and Waylon and some of these guys from Worldwide who are, Trev and Dean, and those guys who are, and their wives. That's never a man thing. Don't misunderstand. When two become one to me. And then it's their time, and that's where the process came from in these areas with it. And we personally have seen Tony. Dennis was right there with Tony almost all the time. And Tony he said, let's go. And Dennis was like, let's go. Like Dennis is the guy that's always all in, and with that. And then this process came along, and I saw them be able to draft off of and learn from Dean, and learn from Trev, and learn from Pete, and learn from some of these ones that we're putting together, because there's probably not another couple that's better at building relationships and developing a community, healthy, with other cross-line leaders. And that's Vinny and Dana have set that precedence. See, Vinny and Dana have been for them like John and Jenny Bell were for us. There was a door that was open that built relationships. I know we're going to get to the questions, but this is important.
Oh, you're fine. Keep going.
You know, here's why too. I don't say these things and edify them or anybody else because we feel obligated. I don't, one thing you'll know from me, I don't do anything I feel obligated to do.
If he does, he'll
If I'm feeling force-handed to do something, it's just not going to happen for me. I can do this because we talk all the time. No, we don't. Do we respect them and have a great rapport, trust? Absolutely. Do you understand? I am just not, we are, but it's more me. I'm just not that guy that has all of these other bridges with it. But anytime it comes to learning, that's when this guy and Kristen, it doesn't matter where it is, we will always put our egos down to understand if there's an edge that can be created to continue to better our game. But this has not only done that through all their existence of the business, on the back end of it, they developed the friendships and the relationships with it as well, which we have as well. I'm not here to undersell that, but it's really spectacular to see. You should be very proud. So what they're doing for you, what John and Jenny Balcrow did for us is what the point I was getting at. They went through all these years, they taught, so many people learned, they impacted, they empowered. Indirectly, they were opening a door. We saw the opportunity to have a door open. We earned our way through that place. And when we arrived, we were John and Jenny Balcrow's next generation. It was still Dave, the son-in-law, Kristen, the daughter. Because in that realm, they see people come and go all the time. I didn't understand this until I got there. I know this is a little bit deeper than we wanted to go, but this is a really important piece because the door is being opened for you all. And this is my point of what I'm getting to. So we went the first couple of years and we were known as I was joking to somebody last night, in the tennis world, we don't have names. People have no idea who we are in the tennis world. We're only known as Maximus's father and mother, Tristan's father and mother, Audrey's father and mother. We are not, which is so great because in this world, we've been known on the front end for everything. We're fantastic that we're known based off of our children in that world. Couldn't be more proud. John and Jenny Balcrow opened a door for us. First couple of years, everybody knew us, tied with them. The third or fourth year, when they saw that we were real, when they saw that we put together a business for the long term, and that we had the same kind of value system, that we were together for a focus to make Amway better, to make the leadership better. We became Dave and Kristen Dussaults, the IBOs, the Diamonds, the leaders in that realm. It didn't make us any less connected with John and Jenny Balcrow. It was an added, almost a multiplier piece so that we could have the relationships that we have with all of those other diamonds. Vinny and Dana, all those years ago, 2008 is, I think, what they said they went diamond. They've done the same. What I was sharing with you last night was not just words. Vinny was on the board and a part of it a little bit earlier than I was. And man, there was no warmer soul to me as I came through. And there's some warm people up at the board and the EC, no one more than your dad, no one. And what they've done is set the example, set the trust, so that people who were coming behind them, but now they're the ones opening the door. So anyway, these are our peers now. They're still our heroes, but they're our peers now. I have more interaction with some of the leadership than I thought I ever would because I'm talking with them all the time because of the board and the EC and that kind of stuff. So now we have the opportunity to open doors. So we, through LOA, but we still count them as part of URA, but David and Sean Coley, we mentor them LOA. They're new diamonds I shared with you last night, and they're really putting together a nice team. They're over 600 people now to events. They'll be at over 1,000 people by Free Enterprise. Their sponsorship rate is unbelievable. They're breaking a lot of foundations and builders. They get it. When they went to Diamond the first time, the welcoming was, hey, how you doing? Congratulations. Not cold, but just, hey, welcome. It's good to have you here. And they were tied with us. This time they came back, second straight year, they'll go back a third year. People came up to them without us and said, hey, it's great to see you back. It's almost like, hey, you're one of us now. The trust has been built. The reason I'm sharing this with you, you know what I'm so excited about the new Diamond couple? Forgive me, their names one more time.
Luis and Jackie Moretta.
One of my favorite things are this couple's opened the door. There's a couple who said, choose me. I want to be identified with this couple. They can't do it for them. They couldn't do it for them. But they were so hungry to be identified with them and to create that separation, that space. And if I'm all of you sitting out here, that would burn my soul. Those are the things that matter to us. We can talk all day about anything else. And listen, I'll go backwards and forwards in numbers, and I'll do it all day, every day. It's my love language. I love the numbers of this business. But when you start talking about that pull, you start talking about the doors that are opened into that kind of leadership of mutual respect. My prayer for you again is you fight for that. Don't ever, ever be mundane with your mentality and go through the motions, man. If that's the case, with all respect, you're dying as an IBO. The longer you get in the business, and sometimes the less results that take place with the length of time, the more this and this needs to be more dialed in and hungry and ready than ever before. So I didn't mean to go another direction with it, but it's a beautiful piece. You can tell the story about the beginning with it, but it's just important because, and it goes based on, it wasn't a question, but he talked about how they used to come around us all the time. They did every time we were. And listen, even with the Coleys, they started to hang around us in 2004 while we were all together. And we just don't want to cause confusion ever. Some people don't believe that. They think we want to keep everything to ourselves. We don't do confusion because no one's going to bring confusion in our team. So almost 3.5 years, they were waiting and until that was taking place. So anyway, I think it's awesome. I think what you guys are doing is incredible. The relationships you're building, I watch everything. I see everything. And it's really cool to see. So give them a huge round of applause for that leadership. Thanks. Because they don't have to do that for you. So answer their questions. So
I mean, he observes. And so, yeah,
that was great.
We can't say enough. And it's true. We always would see you in the background. And normally Dennis was there. And then sometimes I would see you guys. But it's the same thing we always did and still continue to do now. Like you chase the heat. Like you find out when you see growth, you want to know what's going on. And then he's right. It speaks to you guys of how there just was never any ego which was one of his biggest accolades, especially coming through that, you need to submit that ego so that you can be willing to learn and be hungry to find out, if there's a little tweak, a little something here and there that can help because you're hungry to help your team grow, I'm
going to say one last thing with that because I left out a piece that's true. You know what's really wild? Those different years, I know we're on time frame, it's okay. Those different years that were there, you can identify one or two people that really stepped out or 2 or 3 during the different time frames with it. You know what's amazing? And the whole Papalardo legacy, but with Tony sitting here, to me, in the 2018, 2019, I know everybody was chit-chatting about worldwide stuff and numbers and things. I don't think many people outdid what you all have done. Now, everything changed a little bit, right? We all had to figure some things out come 20 and 21 and 22 with these areas. Thankfully, we're all out of that phase of our life. I know you've been out of that phase of your business for a long time, but I've got to guess that pound for pound, you guys were pretty close to those guys with numbers. And because you're part of the family legacy, sometimes that gets overlooked. I was very happy to see that you all got recognized for your own qualified pins at what you all created because that's important. By the way, it's very important that you don't have managers as a family legacy. It's important that you all have leaders leading. Don't ever forget that. Managers cannot do but they're doing, Dennis and Danielle and even Vinny and Dana, they're still leading. So it's important to talk about the dinner or talk about.
You really want us to?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. That was what they really wanted to do
Okay.
in the
Well,
first.
it kind of feeds in because, I mean, the waves and the cycles of the business. It is, you can find time, and there was that first year where we were building the business that honestly, we didn't see a lot of growth. There weren't a lot of pins breaking. I just remember there were so many times he was like, it's not working. It doesn't work anymore. And I was like, what do you mean it doesn't work anymore? Like, this is what I've grown up in. Like, the products are amazing. And, and it was just, he was like, it's just a different time, different era. It's just because we just felt like we were just stuck in the snow. Like we were just, and we just weren't getting any momentum. And there was a huge missing piece to the puzzle because honestly, we were not using the system and the education like it should be used. Again, like I told last night, I was working everything. So I was doing all the books. I was doing the audios. I was sitting in all the meetings and the seminars and everything, but I was working them, which was different. I wasn't like able to sit there and take notes and everything. So I was hoping more for him to be able to do that if I was taking care of something or whatever. And he was just not into it at all. Like he was like, I don't need this. I'm self-motivated. And that was a huge missing piece of our puzzle. But it took us about 10 to 12 months of just, we were sponsoring machines. But then we kind of would like, good luck. And it was, so we had like almost a cereal bowl, like where they would go in and whoop, they would just get right back out because then we weren't sponsored.
We had no idea where they went, but they were not still in the business. That's for sure. I think
they saw indirectly from us that our lack of belief, and again, it wasn't my lack of belief in the system. It was just that I had a different role in things. I think they innately saw our lack of belief in the system and the tools and everything. And so then that innately, and we didn't sponsor anybody. Nobody sponsored until somebody sponsored for them. And so we weren't helping them. And so whoop, they just right back out. And it becomes deflating. And at one point it was around the 11 to 12 month mark. He was like, I think we should stop. And I was like in shock because I always wanted to be around this. And so then that was his selling point. He was like, well, you can be around everybody. You can keep working with your parents. You can go to all the functions, be around the atmosphere, but this is not going to like help us raise a family. At that point, we were starting to talk about like, do we want kids? All of that. And so I was like, are you sure? Like really? And I, at that point was not strong enough to say, I want to build it on my own. He was giving me the out of, you can be around it. And so I was like, oh, okay. And we went back and forth and we had 3 legs sponsored at that point. One was his family. And I forgot the other 2. It was, Joelle and then Steph. So it was 3. And then, so we went out to dinner. It was like an anniversary dinner for my parents. And we had it all formulated where we were going to tell them that we were.
That was before they were sponsored, for the record.
Oh, that's right. And we were going to quit is what we were going to tell them on their anniversary dinner. It was horrible.
On their anniversary, it was really special.
And I just remember like
very romantic for them.
We had this like conversation, and I remember like my mom, and he like straight up like said it, like we're gonna stop building the business. She's gonna still be able to, and I like couldn't talk. So, and my mom like started crying, and my dad didn't flinch. And then I just started like eating bread out of the bread basket. Like I didn't know whether to cry or, so then I just started eating. And then, yeah, I don't know, but because then my dad said,
just put yourself across the table.
Oh my goodness, he probably wanted to just.
We're in a booth right here. I'm saying my statement. My voice doesn't crack.
No, and he was just.
Listen, I'm here.
And we justified.
And John Crow's sitting on the other side of the table. And to anybody else, the way he looked on the back end, you would have curled up and sucked your thumb and wet your pants. I'm telling you. But I was that ignorant still that I had made up my mind and I was the man of the household. And then he said the statement heard around the world.
He did have, it was only 3 legs sponsored.
He said the statement.
Because he said, how many legs do you have sponsored?
2 of them were in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yes. Oh.
Robert Babs.
Yes.
And one of the other guys, yeah.
Goodness. And so then he goes, we have 3 legs. My dad said, without flinching, give me their names and numbers. I'm going to build an emerald ship and you won't touch a dime. And like and it was like fast. And
Repeat.
He didn't
Repeat that
do
for a
it.
second.
She didn't do it justice.
He said,
this is mano y mano, man on man.
Mom's crying.
It's like my wife doesn't exist. I'm not paying attention to she's crying.
They're like face to face.
I'm looking at him, eyeball to eyeball. I'm not flinching. And he said, how many legs do you have? After I said what I said, I said, we have 3. He said, fantastic. Give me their names and numbers, and I'm going to help all of them go platinum. and you will not touch a dime.
I'll build an emerald ship.
Did not say another word, started eating his other stuff. Now,
Amazing.
I have never felt like Pinocchio in my life. He was playing me like, and I didn't budge either.
Yep. No.
Until dinner was over and we got in the car.
Because then he never
He didn't bring up anything else.
to get the numbers. Like, and then I mean, the rest was kind of a blur because I just remember I tried to change the subject. My mom was crying. I'm looking at her. I'm sure we went to the bathroom at some point, cried, hugged, everything. And then he never asked again. And then we got in the car. We both shut the car doors. And the minute the car door shut, I started crying. And I was like, I don't like this decision at all. I don't agree with this. I want to support you. And he was like, do you think he would do that? Do you think? And he was all like, just all rough.
I was angry. That's not
like,
the reaction I want.
And he goes, I don't know. He's John Crow. And evidently, like, he probably could do that. And he was all like, he's not doing that. These are our legs. These are who,
Then I said, you're not doing that. These are our legs.
And then we're
doing it.
Yeah. But it was like that reverse psychology that he played on us, that he was like a puppeteer. And in my head, I was like, oh my goodness, praise God. Like, this is an answer to my prayer. And I remember we drove out, and then as we're driving, he's like, you know what? I'm going to show them. I'm going to show them that it doesn't work anymore. And we're going to go to everything. I'm going to listen. I'll start listening to the audios. I'm going to start, because he would.
You guys said you were going to go core.
He went, and we went all in.
And I said we were going to do it for 12 months to prove it did not work. I can't change or lie about our story either. So I just want to make sure we're on the same page. I'm not saying this as we're so proud. You asked us the question of it, and we can't change the reality of what a scenario that I remember like it was yesterday.
And he did core was, we ate, sleep, breathe. Like, we devoured audios. That's when we started then seeking out people that we identified with, like you did. Yep. Doug and Amy Weir, Joe Markowitz. Like, there were certain people, he started listening to some of my dad's stuff, and it made sense because he was a very analytical mind. So he started learning. It's just, and again, started out in a kind of angry, negative way, but it starts chipping away at your heart. There becomes...
Well, last question. I'm sorry I haven't let you ask a question.
I don't think it's you, Tony. It's us.
But it was your team. You went from, so the first year you really didn't have any standards and weren't helping people get started right. But then your team became literally the standard as to what everybody was working towards, as to that team is serious about standards, high expectations. You guys were so dialed in. At that point, like, we had a communication system called Kate, and we were like, what the heck is Kate? Like, we knew about it, didn't use it at all. And then you guys lived on Kate, and you lived on the audios. And it's not that we weren't into the audios, but you really turned a crumb into a massive feast. And then that started to get duplicated in your organization. So in wrapping up, can you kind of talk about that a little bit? Because I think there's people that do an education process, and they're just going through the steps. And then there's people that are actually doing it. And that was our process then, but I've never seen a team grow big without having high standards. So.
Agreed. You want to start with that? I've talked enough. I've already talked too much. You want to start, or you want me to go?
You have anything to ask?
I can share on it. I just don't want to.
Sure. If there's anything.
All right, see, here's what it is. We have to remember, we're in Amway, right? Amway and our representation is a volunteer entrepreneurship. There are no mandates in our business. We cannot go to people, nor will we, nor do we have a desire to, and say, here's what you need to do. Boom, boom, boom. That's what the adversary, who doesn't know anything about what we do, they think we do that. We are a volunteer business model. People do everything they do in their Amway business based off of they have a brain and they choose what is best for their business. We're very proud of that. So how do you have that kind of model and yet still develop what we were looking to create, a learnable, teachable machine, but with people in a volunteer realm, right? Right? That's the gray area. The qualifying process has helped us in that manner. But going back to what you said, I personally believe there's still way too many entrepreneurs that are in the mechanical phases of the process. You're doing all of the steps. But with all respect, not to steal something from my mentor, but every time I talk, I do, there's no heartbeat with how, why, with whom you're moving through those. Does that make sense? They talked about, there's a couple great podcasts out there about moving towards delivering at a higher result based. And they talk about the phase of, just getting started with areas with things and how it's very clunky, but people are in and out. And when people are in and out, it's really challenging to get in any kind of flow. We see within our team, I can speak from our perspective, I don't know you all, but we were having a lot of business owners that, this is before the process, that they were coming in and we didn't create an atmosphere. There was not an environment that could really build the value system of the trust where people could buy into, that they felt good that there actually was a successful, systematized process that they could win in. So anytime people feel like that, or if there's too much autonomy, then people will, we want our people to own. I hear this all the time. We want them to take ownership right away. If people don't know how to own, you don't want people owning something they don't know how to own. There needs to be a honing in process, not a dictation process, not a mandate process, but a honing down the alley. So there's parameters, but going to a result because we could help them get to a space that they didn't know existed for their business because their belief wasn't there, their education wasn't there, their expertise were not there. Are you all understanding what I'm saying? Very, very, very important. Now, the next piece of that is there's the phase of when you buy into the system. I don't want to say buy into the system. Man, it's got such a bad connotation out there. When you buy into the growth development, the education, this team, when you buy into this team, you got to be so careful about what you say these days. It drives me batty. But I'll do it because we'll follow up. But sometimes that messaging just gets so skewed and it bothers me. I don't like people who try and manipulate our messaging when our messaging is pure and from the heart and with the right direction, with the right people's values. And I don't like that. Anyway, but I will share with this. But then people start getting within that, they buy into it, and then all of a sudden they're going through those gears, but they're very mechanical. So you've got the A to the B to the C to the D, but there's no heartbeat. We work with people. We work with relationships. The greatest thing you can take out of this weekend is to make sure that you become hungry to become at the highest level in truly building meaningful relationships. And you do that by serving. You do that by selflessly serving. But anyway, what happens is we then see the IBOs that finally commit. They stay in that mechanical phase and they don't do enough for it to come mechanical to a natural, this is who I am. So the process brings you along that road with parameters on each side and gives you the room. And what do we want? We want the freedom for you to fail. We want that freedom for you to make mistakes. We don't want to ever take that away. So you had to create a culture and a value system that would have the parameters that would still be leading down to the right road of where goals can be hit, but not stifle people and stand over them as a dictator or as a manager. There's so much more to that, but it's so much. Does that make sense in those areas? The same thing you all have done, the same thing that I've watched over the last many years, you all have created within this own team. We've been talking a lot over the last while, okay, about how we can continue to create more unity within our teams. When we walked in here last night, honestly, I mean, I couldn't see the amount of people and things like that with it. We felt the environment. And when we were teaching and talking and sharing last night, it was so surreal after meeting and seeing and feeling the energy from you all of how similar our teams are. And that's really special. And so it moves me. So I just wanted to share that with you because it matters to us. These are the things that matter to us for our future, for our teams, because we vested our lives into our people, into our team. We believe in what this business does for people. We believe for what it does for their marriages. We believe at what happens when people's self-images grow, when they step out and they stretch themselves in an arena where they're not naturally talented, as I shared last night. It matters, and it's worth fighting for. And I hope each and every one of you take that personal responsibility as you move forward with here. So I've already talked too long, but anyway, I just wanted to make sure I shared that with you.
Well, guys, we are out of time. Give them a hand. That was amazing. Thank you so much.
I am the worst guy to interview. I am so sorry. I am so sorry. You guys didn't ask any questions.
No. Guys, that was perfect. That was great. I've already lost my voice, and the night hasn't even begun. Love you guys. Thank you so much.
This is a copyrighted program of The Collective, powered by Markham Man Productions.